Hello, and welcome back to Conquering Finale. My name is Jason Lafredo, and we're dealing with Outsmarting Smart Shapes again, the version 27 updates in the SMuFL fonts related to smart shapes. This is part 2. In particular, I want to talk a little bit about the Octave lines and some other playback issues with the SMuFL fonts in version 27. So in the Smart Shape tool, we're in the Smart Shape palette here, we still have the 8VA and the 15MA marking here, which we can use, and they will work. They will play back correctly and everything, and you can see that you've got your 8VA, or you can do your 15MA. This is all pretty much the same. What's actually very different about this, the SMuFL versions of these Octave characters, and they are using different characters, which I'll show you in a second, is that the flipped versions are different. So if I go down here and do it on the underside, you'll see something different than what you're used to seeing. You'll see that the 8VA has the VA portion aligned with the bottom half as opposed to the 8VA above, where it's aligned to the top half. The other problem, and it is a problem in my opinion, is that the line is in a weird place on the 8VA underneath situation. You can see it's not even like close to the VA. It's still in the same position relative to the 8 as it is in the upper one. So this is actually kind of weird in my opinion, and something that just doesn't look good and should honestly be addressed. But let's just take a look at what's going on. So if we go into the Smart Shape menu here, go to Smart Shape Options, we know that we can edit these octave up, octave down, 2 octave up, 2 octave down symbols by selecting these options. And we can see that this octave up is set to Finale Maestro 24 Plain, and then we press Select here. This will get us to the symbol selection for that particular character. Now this is the SMuFL font, and you see that there's an octave category here, and you can see all of the elements within this octave category. And you'll notice off the bat there's something new here. There's the 22 MA versions of these octave lines, which is new and something we didn't have before, which is great. There's also some other things. There's parentheses that are used separately if you need them, and I'll show you how we're going to use those in a second. Of course, we have the plain 8, the plain 15, and the plain 22 if we want to do it that way, and the actual BASA word here. So one thing that we can do to kind of do a quick fix to this 8VA below situation is to go down here and choose the octave down 8VA, select, and instead of using the 8VA with the VA aligned to the bottom, we can actually switch it back to the way it is aligned at the top. And this is how Finale did it the old way in version 26 in the non-SMuFL fonts. You may not have even noticed, but the VA was aligned to the top, not to the bottom. And when you do it that way, the dashed line actually looks a little bit better. Now, this is technically not really that great. Gould suggests that the VA should be aligned to the bottom, but she also suggests that the line should also be aligned to the bottom as well. And the unfortunate thing is that this is one area in Finale where we don't have control over this situation. That line, the vertical height of that line exists relative to that 8, and you cannot change it. In the Smart Shapes Options dialog box, this is where we can change some of these settings, including the line thickness, the dash length, dash space, and the hook length. All of these settings are will control these particular lines right here. What doesn't exist here is the vertical height of the lines relative to the 8VA or the octave down 8VB symbol. So for now, we're kind of stuck. We can't change the line. What we can do is change the octave down symbol to this one with the VA aligned to the top to get this. And you may be asking, well, what about if I want 8VB? Well, we can go in here again and see that there is an 8VB setting. There's also an 8BA setting if you want to use that. The 8VB is down here, but it's also aligned to the bottom. So we could use that one, but yet again, the dash line is not correct. And unfortunately, in the main part of the SMuFL font here, or the main category for octaves, the 8VB with the VB aligned to the top doesn't exist. But it does exist in the alternates and extras category. This is where some of the legacy characters can be found, and if I scroll down far enough, you will indeed see the 8VB with the VB aligned to the top. Again, this is very anti-Gould. This is not really how it's supposed to be done, but this is how it's always been done in Finale with this 8VB symbol. So if we select the legacy version of this, now you can see that your 8VB is in the top half of the 8, and the line will look a little bit better. So once again, this is the compromise here. Again, we really just need some more options here to determine where this line exists relative to the symbol. And actually, according to Gould, this line actually really should be completely in line with the top, and this VB line to the bottom, and the line completely aligned to the bottom. And that's not even the case either. The dash line actually exists sort of halfway between the V and the A, vertically speaking here. So again, just it would be nice to have some more control over here, but we don't. We do, however, have the ability to make these things as custom smart lines. So we don't have to use the built-ins 8VA and 15MA from the shapes palette here. We can actually create new ones. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how to do this. And I'm actually going to create a 22MA marking because that's something that we don't have anyway. So I'm going to go in here, call this dashed line horizontal. And actually, let me just show you something here first. What we do need to do is sort of recognize what these settings are: line thickness, dash length, dash space, and hook length, because we're going to use that in the custom line design. So I have these numbers written down somewhere else, so I will do this as we're doing this. And I'm going to edit this. So we've got our dash line. I know that the thickness needs to be different, so it's not 0064, it's 00749. The dash length and space is actually the same. And that fourth option was the hook. Now with these custom smart lines, the hook can only go in one direction. They're not context sensitive. In other words, if the line is above the staff, the hook goes down. If the line is below the staff, it goes up. Unfortunately, these smart lines are one-sided, so you have to decide. So in this case, we're going to do the lower hook, which means it has to be a negative value. So negative 0.0416. Which was that value from that other window. All right, so now we've got the line set up, and what we want to do is do the left start here, and we're going to call this default music font, size 24, and of course we're going to use our handy shortcut for the insert symbol dialog box, and we're going to find octaves, there it is, and we're going to choose the 22MA sign here, and select that. And we're good to go. And I'm going to get to the line adjustments in a second, but we also need the left continuation because this needs to be parenthesized if it wraps around the system. So size 24, same thing, insert symbol, find the octaves. There we go. And we're going to start with the left bracket. And my little trick here is to copy, paste, select, reinsert, 22MA, copy, paste, select, reinsert, right bracket. And okay, and so that's the left continuation. Now you can see my line is all kind of screwed up, but we're going to fix that with the line adjustments. And I've already figured out these values. We need to make these after text, and we want 0.014, 0.014, and for the vertical, we want 0.09 to get us totally even with the top, as Gould suggests. So this is how you'd sort of create this 22MA, and we click OK, and we select that, and now we can actually enter this as a 22MA marking. And again, this will not flip. The hook will not flip. So if I try to put it attached to the bottom, you'll see that the hook is still going downwards, which means that we have to create a secondary one that's the 22MB marking with the hook going upwards, all right? Now I'm not going to go through all that right now because I've already done it in this file, and we'll just zoom in here a little bit more. Go into my custom smart lines here to find my 22MA, which is what I just created. And then I can find the 22MB, which is right below that. And I can use that here, and I'll zoom in a little for you so you can see this. And so now you can see that I've got a 22MA and a 22MB marking all set to go. Now, another thing to note is that Finale will not recognize these symbols for playback, so even though 22MA is here, it's just going to play it loco. It just doesn't recognize these symbols for playback. In addition, we can also, if we wanted to really fix those octave lines in a good engraver way, I've already done that. So what I've done is just actually, I created these two first, and then I've just copied and pasted them and just replaced the 22 with the 15 here, and the 15 with the 8VA. So we can actually have the real correct way that this should be done as smart lines instead of the kind of weird version that Finale sets up for us out of the box with the Smart Shape. You can see the difference here. Let me just put that on top. So the top one is the default version, and the bottom one here is my version of it, and I'll do that here as well. And you can see the difference. I mean, this just looks a lot better with the line, aligned to the bottom edge and the VB and everything. So yeah, it's kind of an unfortunate shortcoming, particularly with the SMuFL fonts and how they set up this 8VB here out of the box with this line all the way up here. It doesn't look great, and I'm hoping that maybe they will address this at some point. I just don't know. The other thing is that with these custom smart lines as 8VAs, these will also not be recognized for playback. So unfortunately, because this is a smart line, it's not using one of these two default Octave lines in the Smart Shape palette. These will actually not play back either, which is unfortunate. Speaking of playback, so there's another thing that's going on with Finale 27 and Smart Lines and Playback. First of all, if you use the 8VA or the 15MA from the palette, and again, this is sort of, it'll look okay on the 8VA, it's not quite right, but it will play back correctly. So that's up an octave, and the 8VB will work as well. In addition to that, the trill will work. If I enter a trill with a smart line here, let's just do this. You can hear the clarinet trill. Unfortunately, what won't work is the accidental trills, which come with the smart line selection, which you may be familiar with if I can find them. So trill flat. If we try this in the old version and the non-SMuFL versions, this will actually play back correctly, but you can see that nothing happens. Again, this is just a similar problem to the articulations. It's Human Playback not recognizing the SMuFL font slots yet. It's another thing that they need to fix. So this affects these trills with accidentals, these three guys here. Again, the trill from the palette will actually work, but these three will not. It also affects things like the pedal marking, if I can find that somewhere. There it is. This will not work because this is now using the SMuFL pedal version. So if we try and play this back, it is not being pedaled. As I mentioned in the version 27 update for the articulations, there is sort of a workaround that you can kind of make these work. And it really just involves creating these elements again with a non-SMuFL version. So we can go in here and duplicate this one and change the left start and the right end characters so that they're maestro instead of finale maestro. I've actually already done this in this file at the bottom. You'll see here's the pedal marking, and this is actually using maestro 24 playing, not finale maestro, which is the maestro 24 is the non-SMuFL version. So interestingly, if we choose this one instead of the original one and try and play this back, this should pedal out for us. Yeah, you can hear the piano definitely holding through there. So it's a bit of a drag that they haven't redirected the Human Playback to recognize the SMuFL fonts yet, but I believe it is something that they are working on. But for now, in 27.0, just know that there are some limitations here. The pedal marking does not get recognized. The SMuFL pedal marking does not get recognized. Interestingly, neither does the gliss characters, which is really kind of annoying. If you want to actually have your glisses play back right now, you have to go into the Smart Shape options here, choose the glissando, choose this, and then use the maestro version of the character here, not the finale maestro version. So really kind of a drag for now, but that's what's going on. Again, this is the case for the trills with accidentals. And I think that's it. Just the trills with accidentals, the pedal markings, and the gliss is not working currently in 27.0. Hopefully that will be fixed soon. And what I just showed you is sort of the temporary workaround for now. All right, so there you go. So that is some of the SMuFL updates with the 8VA, 15MA, and Playback. You know, this is one of those areas that I really, really, really hope that Finale pays attention to and recognizes that there's some room for improvement, particularly with the 8VA, the 15MA, the way that the underneath characters go. This just does not look good out of the box. So I hope they address this. And it would be nice if they actually added the 22MA to this main palette as well. Now that it exists in the SMuFL font, it really should be part of this this palette here. And for what it's worth, I always thought that the trills should be in this palette as well. So not only is the main trill here, but you should be able to have the natural, sharp, and flats right in this palette, so you can choose it from here instead of having to go into the custom smart lines. But for now, it is what it is, and that's how it works. And hopefully, the explanation has helped you, you know, realize what's going on here. And yeah, so that's all there is to it. So once again, thanks for watching. My name is Jason. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I will see you soon on the next video.